The year is 1927, and about this time, a special brand, an automotive brand, was being launched in the market. And that brand is none other than Volvo. 8 years later, that is in 2015, the same brand was launching a different product into the market. And 1,927 units to commemorate and remember that special year that this brand was launched were made. And product 00 was reserved for the 16th king of Sweden, that is Carl Gustavo. But the special number is 0010, and that was reserved for one special player, and that is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And that product is the second generation of the Volvo XC90.
It's spectacular from Zlatan Ibrahimovic. A magical.
Before we get into this exciting episode of Kanisa, I want to take you back a little bit and just give you a history of the Volvo brand and why it is here today. So back in time, that is to be precise 1999, Volvo was at the brink of financial crisis, and so they had to make a financial decision. So they actually bought out, or a big stake of Volvo was bought out by Ford Corporation. Ford Corporation at that time had cars like Renault under it, and they really benefited from the stability that Volvo was coming in terms of safety, features and all that. But at the same time, something else happened to Volvo. They introduced their Ford engines into the Volvo lineup, and that brought down the credibility and just the real vibe of owning a Volvo. And this particular product that I'm studying next took a very serious beating. In markets like Europe and the US, the sales of the Volvo XC90 crashed. But globally somehow, because atutambui kama Ford ni gari mbaya ama mzuri, the global sales were awesome. So fast forward to 2008, and under Ford still, Volvo is trying to recreate itself and just bring itself out to be a different and unique and special brand, just like it had done before. And so they were building a platform that will cut across all their lineup of cars just to make it robust and interesting. But again, as fate will have it, Ford became broke. And so Volvo had to move hands again. This time round, they jumped all the way to the Chinese market, and they were bought by Geely. That is in 2011. And when Geely came in, they sat down with Volvo and had a heart-to-heart talk. And Volvo said, you know what, Bwana? You know, we are coming from a very bad relationship, and we need to make this relationship better because guys are losing confidence in what Volvo has to offer. And so Geely decided to give Volvo their own opportunity to recreate their own brand. And that provided Volvo to come up with what we call the scalable product architecture, which is the same architecture that this second generation of the Volvo XC90 is based on. So this is where I remind you guys to subscribe and hit the bell icon and turn your notifications on, because we are just starting to anguka la content. So let's get into it, guys. So before I tell you about this Volvo XC90, one, I would like to give you like the trim levels that this particular generation of the Volvo XC90 has. So the basic one is what we call kinetic, and Volvo decided to go after expressions. They say they don't want to name their trim levels G executives G nini, so they decided they are going to express their trim levels to you. So the first one is kinetic, which is the basic. Then you have momentum, then you have inscription, which is this particular one, and I'll tell you how to know it's an inscription. And then we have the R design, and then the top trim of this particular Volvo XC90 generation is the excellence. And I'll tell you a few differences between, let's say, the inscription and the excellence, but those are the trim levels that you'll get on this particular generation of the Volvo XC90. Back to this one, the design, the front fascia, bold, angry and elegant. And the way you'll know it's an inscription, because inscription and excellence are the topmost or the most executive trims of this particular generation, is you'll see these chrome appendages, and these chromes are everywhere. You can see they're just giving you, because luxury, according to most people that make cars, they have to give you a lot of chrome. And sport, like the R design, you'll get a lot of blacked out trims and not chrome. So angry, elegant, bold. It just reminds you that this is a car you want to drive. It has a presence of its own because of two things. One, the iron dome shaped and arrow pointed cutting across logo, and two is because of the T-shaped Thor hammer headlights that are full LED and they're active beam, meaning you can have them active during your driving experience and they will automatically turn off from high beam to low beam when they see traffic, and when you're done with your traffic they will still come back to full mode. Let's move to the side profile of this car, because that is where we'll get a bit of different and unique features. Of course, the body line of this car still flows all the way with very bold lines, just to tell you that these are Volvo XC90. And one special thing that Volvo made sure it happened on this generation of the Volvo XC90 is to make it totally different and unique from the previous generation. So this particular one is wider, it's actually longer, and then it's also taller, but it sits lower compared to the previous generation. And this again is the T8 inscription, so it's a plug-in hybrid. So you have your plug-in port here, and I'll just show you the charger at the rear, but you can plug in there and just, you know, power up your battery. And the battery on this is a 9.2 kilowatt hour battery, so that can give you a range of around 23 kilometers if you're driving on full mode, battery mode. Then let's talk about the suspension. So this comes smoothly packaged in air suspension. So you have air suspension at the front, air suspension at the rear, which again can be changed or tuned based with the driving mode. And I'll tell you about the driving mode when we get to the interior, but you can lift this car up or you can lower it based with the driving mode that you are in. For instance, if you put it in power mode, which is where the car harnesses all the full potential of what you have in this car, the engine, the electric motor, and the integrated motor generator, then this car slightly goes into a lower stance just to launch and give you that thrust of performance. But if you put it in off-road mode, then it lifts up to give you a better ground clearance to just tackle those hardcore terrains that you want to take your car in. Let's talk about the tire setup. So on this particular car, you have original alloy rims from Volvo paired to 21 wheels, both at the front and the rear. And just flowing back to the rear, this car is quite bold and beautiful. It's a car that you'll want every day. You know, you park it and just stare. You know, una park, and then when you walk away, you just look behind and check out how does that machine look like. So I'll show you the rear, because the rear is quite simple. There is a lot that this car has taken from the previous generation. Unlike the design, structure, everything else at the rear kinda flows from the former generation. One, you get this flowing rear hip-like rear lights, which are significantly unique to Volvo. I know Honda Fit are trying to do this thing. Hey Honda, hey, stop, this is a Volvo thing, Bona. Then you have an IntelSafe, and IntelSafe is the new updated safety structure of what this car runs on, and I'll tell you more about that when we get to the interior. The badging Volvo XC90, and here you have the T8 inscription, twin engine AWD. I'll tell you about the twin engine AWD when we check out the front and just tell you how those engine setups are done. You also get your nice spoiler with a center brake light that is just there to remind you that again these are Volvo, and this is something that Volvo has kept on most of their cars, especially the SUV design, XC60, XC90. This is pretty good. I think for visibility, it's part of the safety architecture that Volvo provides. There is still your chrome appendages still going on, just to remind you that it's a Volvo XC90 inscription. And on the side profile, you can also see a very nice chrome appendage running across the board, just above the line board. And that again has an inscription label on it. You have chrome again. It's like I've said chrome a million times. Dual exhaust tips. But this is just the exterior. Pale ndani, kuna exhaust tip kama ya Honda Fit. Think there they played us. Let's talk about practicality. Being the top model of the Volvo XC90, of course I expect it to have an electric tailgate. Kama inakuja bila hiyo, return your money, you bought a fake one. So what do you have here? These are 7-seater configuration Volvo XC90, and you can just see the third row of seats up. So with the third row of seats up, you get approximately around 350 something liters of boot space. But when you fold this seat down, which is done manually, again Volvo on the Volvo inscription, I don't know why, because the competition on this lineup, that is the GLE and the X5, I think the way you fold the seats and the third row of seats is electric. So you just press a button, it goes down, but Volvo has made it manual, which again is a dammer, but again, that's what you get for what you're paying on this car. So when you fold your third row of seats, you get around 1,007 liters of boot space. And listen to this, when you fold the second row of seats, you get 1,856. And the good thing is, if you fold them, they actually lie flat. And this becomes a semi-pickup. If you asked me, where do I fold this one from? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Oh, you fold it from the other side. But you can see, it goes all the way flat. So you can carry any sizable luggage that you want on this car, because 1,856 is enough space to carry anything. Hata kama ni ng'ombe, bull kubwa Masai, inaingia hapo ndani, and you take it wherever you want. So a few things that I like or I don't like. So I've told you the seats are manual, so it means bringing them back up, you have to move all the way back on this end, and again lift them up. You can't do them from this side. But something interesting is, you can see the loading area, it's flat, so there is no that bezel that just hinders you from putting your big luggages into the boot space. But something interesting is, you can actually lower the car. So Mbugu anakuanga 2.6, you can just lower the car and have your mpoa there and, discuss matters of national importance. Once you're done, you lift up the car and drive off. Something else that I want to show you is, there are a few mounting places where you can just hang your luggage, and they're saying it supports up to 5 kgs. So I think there you're good. This car is quite practical, decent enough for a family. And for those who love adventure, again, Volvo has made it possible for you to have an adventure option on this car. So when there's a button here that brings out something quite unique. There you go. It's a tow hitch. It comes already mounted with an electric accessory point where you can just connect your trailer, put on your motorbike, go to the bundus, park this car somewhere else, pick your motorbike and do all the necessary stuff that you want to do. Maybe you're a family of a man with 2 boys, that's good. You park your trailer there with 3 or 4 motorbikes. Enda kwa bundus, fanya mambo yako. So let's look at the interior of this car and see what options do we get in the Volvo XC90 inscription. So if you're planning to buy a Volvo XC90 inscription, one thing that I'll tell you is it comes in bright interior. So these are beige, quite bright interior. A very serious and humongous panoramic sunroof that has a dual split. So meaning this side is non-active and the front part you can actually flip it open just to allow air in. But let's talk about some serious things. One, dual climate zone controls, heated seats at the rear for both the passenger on this side and this passenger. Huyo katikati apate kitu, because Volvo has done something. In case you have a child, 5, 6, 7 years old, they have made something quite unique here. So you have a small bolster seat just for your child here. Mtoto anakaa hapa, anakuwa na very nice, baba tunaenda wapi? It's interesting. It's quite nice. But if you're not using the seat, I think an adult can as well fit here, because this seat is supposed to have a 3-seat configuration. Here is where we lose it. So you only have 2 cup holders, no storage at all on this point, which is quite a bummer, because the GLE, the X5 and the Q7 have better configuration. I think you have storage compartments here for that as well. Let's look at the third row of seats and just see how practical is it. Even though it's not quite practical, let's see how do you get there. So let's imagine you are a newbie and you want to get to the third row of seats. I know the first people will come and do this. Oh, the seat will try to move, which is good, and you get to the third row of seats. As I always say, I'm 6'2". Let me fold this seat back and just see how it feels. Quite manageable, unexpected. Something I'll tell you about the third row seats of the Volvo XC90. They are very 2 tiny seats. Technically, these are meant for kids. But something that is interesting about them, comparing them to the GLE again, the XC5 and the Q7, the ones that come with the third row seat configuration, is these ones sit a bit higher. And something that is more nicer compared to the 2 is the cushion padding. I think on these ones, I'm feeling a bit soft. My bum is calm when you sit on this one. Like, these seats are orthopedically made to just give you that soothing effect when you sit in this car and enjoy that drive. So that's quite nice. And Volvo has made it possible to have your air, inlets on the third row of seats, and they'll put them on the column here. So it's quite strategic and quite nice for the third row of seats. You also have your cup holders just in case. Oh, and you have a storage compartment as well. That's nice, Volvo. Why did you not put storage compartment on the second row of seats? Anyway, let's check the front of this car and see what it has to offer. The front of the Volvo XC90 inscription is nothing short of luxury. Quality materials everywhere. One thing I love about the seats, again, and I repeat, I happen to own and drive and Volvo is 80. It's the P2. So the former generation of this XC90 is based on a P2 platform, and that P2 platform, it's shared between the Volvo S80 and the Volvo XC90. And my God, the seats in that car are comfortable, and they brought that aspect again to this generation of the Volvo XC90. Quite comfortable. The cushions are quite nice with knee support here. It just makes the driving experience of this car quite stellar. Let's talk about the storage. So the storage compartments, ufungui kama gari zingine unafinya unachafua gari. You have a very nice button here that you just press and the glove compartment opens. It's big enough, spacious enough to put everything that you need. Back here, you also have some storage compartment. Here, they played as a kidogo, but you can fit in your phone and few paraphernalias. One place that they have not given you is a place to just put your phone. In case you're charging your phone, there is nowhere to, because these are cup holders. You have 3 cup holders, 1 rectangular and 2 circular, but there is no place to just tag in your phone and just have that awesome experience. But on the flip side, you have a 9-inch touchscreen infotainment system. In the Mercedes-Benz, you'll have what you call MBUX running the systems behind the infotainment system. On this one, you have what you call the sensors, which is the new Volvo, software or system that runs the infotainment system. It's quite active and quite intuitive and easy to operate. I see nothing extraordinary or nothing strange out of it. I think it makes the work done. One thing I hate about it is the fingers. You can see if I turn the infotainment off, you can just see fingers, yeah, there you go. See that? That's what I don't like. But again, these are problems for third world country. I think guys who live in a clean place, maybe the fingers will not be as fingerish as they look on this one. Something else, a multifunctional steering wheel with very nice black buttons that have tactic feedback when you press them, quite nice. But something that Volvo failed on this one, while other people are going electric and giving you a telescopic steering wheel that is electronically controlled, these ones went manual. So you can lift it up, bring it back, but you have a manual lever underneath to just control that. Let's talk about something special about the Volvo XC90 inscription if you were to buy that. So what does it actually come with as extras? Away from your memory seats, which you can clearly see, you have your massage seats again, and you flip the massage here. It has 8 massage options on this particular car, and you have the passenger available massage option and for the driver as well. And while I was driving here, I was just enjoying a very nice massage, and you can do all that. The bolsters on the seat are inflatable or adjustable, if you want to say, meaning if you're a big person or a person who has big body, you can always adjust the bolsters because they are air controlled, they are full of air, so you can either thin or you can widen them or just make them bigger to fit you well. So kama mimi unaona zimeniwachia nafasi, so I can actually adjust them on my seat to just make them tighten and hug me well when I'm driving. Something that is special again is the sound system, and on the Volvo X inscription XC90 you get Bose and Wilkins sound system, 19 speakers to be specific, and a 1400 watts amplifier, and this is how it sounds.
Are we gonna play? Ready for a shot? I'm about to take down you already. Get the fuck out of my face now. Yeah, you gotta go. Man, I'm
See Subaru, the Volvo XC90. You don't need to touch anything. You buy this car, you have stock quality sound system, the gear lever. Again, Volvo has made some tremendous upgrades in terms of looks. These are crystal clear gear lever that is actually double tapped. So what do I mean by double tapping? So if the car is on, let me just put her on. It means if you want to go to drive and you are in, let's say right now I'm in neutral, you tap twice, then you'll get yourself into drive. If you want to go back to reverse, you tap twice, then you get back to reverse. And the 360 camera, oh my lad, again, clear, quite epical clear, and it's very nice. And you have another option that is called parking assist, which again for Volvo is your park assist technology that can help you get out and into parking spaces automatically without doing anything. You just click on it and you get there. You have your diamond cut start and stop button, and also the driving mode switch that changes between the driving modes that you have. Again, it's diamond cut. Quite nice, quite beautiful, quite elegant, quite expensive. It sounds like whoever owns this car smells of money. So let's check out the front, and I'm going to tell you which engine powers up this particular Volvo XC90 inscription. As part of the Volvo scalable product architecture, it meant that Volvo had to come up with a series of engines that will cut across the entire lineup, and the Volvo XC90 became the first model to enjoy the luxury of having those engines. So what engines am I talking about? The new engines that Volvo felt will run properly on this generation of the Volvo XC90 are what we call the VEA, Volvo engine architecture. Those are the new engines. They're actually simple. They're a version of 2-liter engines, both for petrol and diesel. And because the car was bought by Geely, of course they had to concede something and give to Geely. So Geely had a 1500cc engine that ran on small cars like the Volvo V40, and that's what you get. But on the bigger cars like the V60, the XC90, the XC60, the S90, watch out for the review is coming your way quite soon. If you're thinking about replacing your Mercedes-Benz E-Class or your BMW 7 Series, then watch out for the Volvo S90 review. So let's talk about what is in this particular Volvo XC90 inscription. What you have here is a 2-liter twin-charged engine from Volvo, and this engine is quite special. Why is it special? Because it's based on the modular engine architecture. The modular engine architecture is the former versions of the engines that ran on Volvos, the 6 cylinders, the 4 cylinders, the 5 cylinders. So what Volvo did is they just took the same engines and cut out this particular engine with some few modification, of course, upgrades here and there, just make this engine robust and reliable. So this particular one comes with a supercharger and a turbocharger as well. And that is quite interesting because one reason why they have a supercharger and a turbocharger on this engine is to eliminate what we call the turbo lag. So on this car, when you put your foot down, you don't wait for those few seconds before your turbo kicks in. Unawekelea mguu chini and your car picks off like a bullet. Paired to this 2-liter engine is an 8-speed ICE transmission. The same transmission you'll find on a Lexus RX 350 because Volvo has been using products from Toyota. ICE is a subsidiary branch of Toyota, so that again adds on to the reliability aspect of this particular machine. But that's not where the story ends, because that transmission paired to this 2-liter engine, twin-charged engine, gives you around 316 HP. Okay, stop there. Next to the engine is what we call an integrated motor generator. We are used to having an alternator that powers on or provides auxiliary power to the running of the car. So this particular car, you don't have that. So you have an integrated motor assist that helps with the powering on and off of this particular engine. And that integrated motor assist adds on to that horsepower by 46 HP and 150 Newton meters of torque. Tuko pamoja? Let's continue, because I told you these are T8 plug-in hybrid. So back at the rear of this car, you get an electric motor and a battery that sits in the center of this car. And that electric motor at the rear puts out 160 Newton meters of torque and 87 horsepower. So in general, don't ask me how the math is not mathing, but this car puts out 400 HP and 630 Newton meters of torque. So what other engine options do you get on this lineup of the Volvo XC90? So this is the most powerful, most fuel economical, and again the most expensive lineup of the Volvo XC90. But below this you have the T6, which comes with a configuration of this particular engine but in a twin charge setup. So you'll have this engine, no electric integrated generator and no electric motor at the rear, but you get this engine with a twin charge, meaning you have a turbo and a supercharger. Below it you get a T5, which is now this same engine but with a turbocharger alone. And that sums up the engine option that you get on the second generation of the Volvo XC90. The first problem is something that happened when you launch the engines for the first time. And this engine, these are 2017 models, so this is the first generation of this particular engine. It was actually revised from 2018, so if you asked me if you can buy this model of the same car from 2018, then you might not be facing these particular problems. But the first problem had to do with the supercharger. So it has been reported that the seal that is in between the supercharger and the mounting location to the engine had a myriad problem of failure, and that will result into a check engine or the car giving you low boost pressure, or maybe sometimes quite bad fuel economy. It will tell you either it's running lean or running rich, and that was down to that particular seal between the supercharger and the mounting location. The second problem, again, I told you this car came from the previous generation of the modular design engines of Volvo. And one thing, if you own an older Volvo, you know that one of the repair or serviceable item on that particular engine, the 6-liter, the straight 6, the 5 cylinders and the 4 cylinders, was what we used to call the PCV valve. So this one, again, there has been rampant issues around blockage of the PCV valve, but the good thing is it's a serviceable item, so you can just buy and swipe it out. And one reason why you need to take keen interest in making sure that your PCV valve works well is because that is what regulates the crankcase pressure. And if the pressure is too high, then you have what we call blow-by, meaning pressure will start looking for places to come out from. And if that pressure from the engine starts looking for places to come out from, you know that the first culprit will be your seals. So your engine seals will take a beating and there'll be leakages all around your engine. So those are the only common problems that cuts across the new engine on the Volvo lineup. Let's cross over to the diesel lineup. The diesel lineup, again, you only have two configurations. You have a 2-liter turbocharged engine, and then you have a 2-liter twin charged engine, that is a turbocharger and a supercharger as well, and also a mild hybrid application. And on the diesel side, they have something quite interesting, especially the turbocharged engine. They call it pulse. So what pulse does is the engine is able to introduce air into the intake just to get rid of the small turbo lag that you get. And I think that is an awesome technology that Volvo has made to just make sure their cars feel sporty and interesting to drive as well. So let's get into this car, drive this car, and I'm going to tell you how does it feel or how does it experience to actually drive this car on the road.
Are we gonna play now? Ready for the show? I'm about to take down, you already know. Get that in my face now, yeah, you gotta go. Man, I'm on the chase now, leave me on my own. I got a chance to break now, here I go. Take control of me now, I control the flow. And I know that I'll be great, how getting on the show. I know that I'ma stay down, drowning out the nose. The haters always thinking that they could break me. They're better off eating their own words like pastries. Hate me, and I'm coming in hot like a bad.
So ladies and gentlemen, how does it feel to drive the Volvo XC90 Inscription T8? It's quite interesting. I smell and feel like a rich guy seated inside this car. The build quality is awesome, and the only way I can assure you the build quality is awesome is by doing this. Oh, the window comes out quite slowly, something that I don't like. Mvua inaweza kulima ukichelewa, but that is the exterior noise. Can you hear it? And then when I do this, hear that? Nothing. Silent, subtle. This car has like a dual personality. There's this personality where you just put her in pure drive and you enjoy the easy and subtle drive. And then the other one is when you start switching up, the driving mode. So one interesting driving mode I want to talk about is what we call the constant all-wheel drive system. I told you before that this car is a front-wheel bias, and by me saying that, this is what I mean. So Volvo says that this car is capped to produce or to give power across all the four wheels constantly to a specific power output. So they say if you get to 170, that's the maximum horsepower output that this car can retain the all-wheel drive capability. Once you cross the 170 HP mark, it means this car becomes a front-wheel drive, and that is good because it gives you epic fuel economy and as well better driving dynamics, especially for normal everyday use. Now the other driving mode that we get here is what we call the hybrid. Hybrid is for everyday use, and hybrid, this car you can charge it at home 7 to 8 hours using the charger provided by the manufacturer. But if you're not charging at home, then you can get regenerative power from the brake that you do when you're driving this car. And that, like right now I have 3-4 bars on my battery, and that is courtesy of regenerative braking. So hybrid is where you have a bit of both. You can get a bit of power from the engine, and you can get a bit of power from the hybrid system. Let me turn around and just talk to you about the other driving mode, which is Sport. And I'm enjoying the crystal gear lever that Volvo has provided in this car. So the other driving mode that we have is the power, which is the sporty driving. So once you put her in power, she takes a lower stance. Remember, we are running on air suspension, so the car lowers itself, prepares itself to launch, and just give you that epic power. And I told you, this car doesn't feel like it weighs 2.4 tons. It actually weighs 2.4 tons. But when you're driving it, it's quite sporty. It feels nice. And we put her in sport mode, it primes every aspect of this car. The transmission becomes a bit aggressive, the steering wheel firms up, the throttle becomes quite responsive. And one unique thing is the twin charge aspect that I talked about. So you have a supercharger and a turbocharger, and the turbo lag is almost zero because the supercharger takes care of the low bands, and then the turbo comes in just to top up and give you the full 400 HP. So now the only thing that is remaining to do here is confirm exactly how does this car perform from 0 to 100. So I'm going to relax, I'm going to calm down, I'm going to put her in sport, and then we are going to launch this car and see, does it meet up the expectations that Volvo says. Volvo claims we are going to get 5.6 out of this car, but I can tell I have 3 bars or 2 bars on my battery. So let me shut up and let's see, does this car race as they say. Come on, yeah, let us break it. That was a perfect launch. Let me see the numbers. 0 to 100 in 6.26 seconds. And this is where it gets interesting. Last time I did the review of the BMW 5 Series 530i, and the braking distance was 100 to 0 in 3.5 seconds. Now Volvo has done this, braking from 100 to 0 in 3.43 seconds. I felt like my lungs and my brain was coming out. That's quite a decent launch. So 5.6 to 6.26. So we are losing off approximately around 0.8 seconds. Quite decent. I love it. Volvo, nice job. Nice job, Volvo. And when I did an emergency braking, the car automatically put the hazards on. So it assumed maybe I'm in danger or something. So the hazards were on, and that's quite interesting. So I'll talk about a bit of Volvo safety. It's a cliche talk about it, but Volvo has tremendous safety features. And instead of me going through all that, I'll just allow Mbugo to put a list of all the safety features you get on what Volvo calls the Intel Safe, which is the new, platform that Volvo provides the safety features on. So I think without wasting much time, let's go and do value for money and see how does this car compare to its competitors, that is the GLE, the Q7 and the BMW.
I don't believe in destiny, I just do what's best for me. Don't listen to my enemies, they're just full of jealousy. Yeah, this legacy, you gon' see what's left of me.
Let's talk value for money. And this one, as I said before, requires a sit down. Volvo XC90. What are the competition that we are looking at? We are looking at the BMW X5, 7-seater configuration. We are looking at the GLE Mercedes-Benz, 7-seater configuration. And then we're also looking at the Audi Q7. These are the common cars that you are likely to buy in the Kenyan market space today. Now, this particular car will set you back approximately around 7 million Kenya shillings. To be precise, between 6.5 to 7 million Kenya shillings. Remember, this is the top trim of the Volvo XC90. It's the Volvo XC90 inscription. It has the most powerful engine, the most fuel economical engine, and the most luxurious in terms of just the spec design layout. On the other side, if I was to buy a GLE Mercedes-Benz 7-seater configuration, the lowest trim level will set me back anything above 8.5 million Kenya shillings. That is if I'm lucky, because that territory is where you will probably be buying a GLC. 7 million, 6.5, that's close to a GLC territory. If I go to the Audi will set me back anything between 8.5 to 9 million Kenya shillings. And when I cross over to the side of the BMW X5, that's where you get a bit of a tie, because BMW X5, because of you guys have been sold fear, it is the cheapest among the three. That will set you back anything between 6 again to 7 million Kenya shillings. So in terms of price, I think the Volvo XC90 goes head to head with the BMW X5. But in terms of value and what it offers, this car is among the safest cars because it's 5-star rated. This particular model, the inscription T8 plug-in hybrid, is the most fuel economical because it can push all the way to 14 kilometers to a liter. And getting the top range luxury package with 6.57 million, I think to me this smells like value for money. This car precisely hits all the G spots. It saves you money, it gives you everything you want, and plus it's a Volvo. It might not feel like a Mercedes-Benz when you appear somewhere, but if you appear this in a meeting, kama umeenda shule kuona mtoto, and you appear with this, they'll be like, they can't place you whether you don't have money or you have money. But I can tell you, if you see a guy driving this car, this guy has more money than anyone who drives a Mercedes, because this car costs a little bit higher to keep on the road. Not because it's expensive, but because availability of spare parts locally is not as robust as Mercedes-Benz and their counterparts. So if you buy this car, for me it provides value for money, but get a proper specialist to work on it. And number two, make sure you ship or import your spare parts on time. I've been your host, Papa Skofu Ibrahim Toloy, on this special episode of Kanisa. Do have a wonderful Sunday, enjoy yourself, and let me have an awesome moment with the Volvo X90. Huku Suswa. See you on the next one.
I won't stop till the end, no.